In the heart of rural America, far from the noise of cities, lay a quiet village surrounded by endless fields. The very edge of the village stood Willow Creek Farm, a small patch of land owned by an old farmer named Samuel. Samuel's days began before sunrise. He would step outside into the cool morning air, the dew still fresh on the grass, and listen to the gentle rustle of the cornfields. To him, it was more than just the wind. It was as if the land whispered its secrets to those who cared enough to listen. The farm was home to chickens, a few cows, and a stubborn horse named Daisy. Life was simple but never easy. Every season brought new challenges, storms in spring, scorching sun in summer, and heavy snow in winter. Yet Samuel loved every moment. The nearest town was 20 miles away, and the roads were rough. The people of the village depended on one another for everything. When Samuel's barn roof broke during a storm, neighbors came together to fix it. And when Mrs. Parker's well ran dry, Samuel brought water from his own. One autumn evening, as the sun set behind the golden fields, Samuel sat on his porch with a cup of coffee. He looked over the land, the corn swaying in the wind, the faint sound of crickets, the sky painted in shades of orange and pink, and thought to himself, this is what peace feels like. Life on Willow Creek Farm was far from the hustle of the modern world, but for Samuel, it was exactly where he belonged. Winter came early that year. By late November, the fields were buried under a thick blanket of snow, and the roads to town became dangerous. Samuel stocked up on hay for the animals and firewood for the stove, but deep down he knew this winter was going to be different. One evening, as the wind howled outside, Daisy the horse started acting restless. She kept stomping her hooves and snorting as if trying to warn Samuel about something. Curious, he put on his coat, grabbed a lantern, and stepped outside. Through the swirling snow, Samuel noticed strange tracks leading from the edge of the forest toward his barn. They weren't human, but they weren't from any animal he knew either. The prints were long, narrow, and seemed to almost drag across the snow. The next morning, Samuel found that the latch on his barn door had been broken. Nothing was missing, but the animals were clearly frightened. Chickens refused to leave their coop, and even the cows huddled together nervously. Over the next few days, the strange tracks kept appearing, circling his farm at night. The whispers in the cornfields that Samuel had once found peaceful now felt unsettling, almost like voices speaking in a language he couldn't understand. One night, determined to find the source, Samuel waited in the barn with his lantern and an old hunting rifle. It passed in silence until he heard it, a slow, dragging sound outside, followed by the creak of the barn door. What Samuel saw in that dim, flickering light was something he would never forget. Samuel's breath caught in his throat. Standing in the doorway was a tall, thin figure wrapped in a tattered cloak. Its face was hidden beneath a hood, but two pale, glowing eyes stared straight at him. The air in the barn grew colder. Even Daisy, the stubborn horse, backed away, trembling. The figure didn't move at first. It only tilted its head slightly, as if studying Samuel. Then, in a deep, whispering voice, it spoke. The land remembers. Samuel's hands shook as he gripped the lantern tighter. Who are you? He demanded. The figure took a slow step forward, and the wooden floor creaked under its weight. This farm was built on a promise broken, it whispered. Samuel's mind raced. His grandfather had once told him a strange story about the farm's early days. How the first owner had made a pact with someone from the other side to ensure rich harvests. The pact was supposed to be renewed every 100 years, and tonight marked exactly 100 years. Before Samuel could react, the figure reached into its cloak and pulled out a handful of soil that shimmered unnaturally in the lantern light. It placed the soil gently on the barn floor. Renew the promise, or watch the land die, the voice said, before fading into the cold night. By morning, the strange tracks were gone, but the ground outside the barn had turned dry and cracked, as if life itself had been drained from it. Samuel stood at the edge of his fields, staring at the horizon, realizing he had a choice. Keep the land alive by honoring the mysterious pact, or break the cycle forever and risk losing everything. And as the wind rustled through the withered stalks, the whispers returned, louder this time and far less friendly.